Now let's talk about when in the hurricane season we are statistically more likely to see hurricanes. In this figure, we are showing the number of hurricanes and tropical storms that occur by date throughout the year. So all this yellow region are the hurricanes that have happened that we have had in a particular date. And this is including many, many years, number of storms on a particular date for the last 100 years. So on August 1st, we've had, about maybe four or five different storms that were fully working on August 1st of their year. Okay, so the yellow region are hurricanes. The red region indicates hurricanes plus tropical storms. Hurricane season officially starts on June 1st and ends November 30th. But as you can see, we can actually have storms before the season starts and after the season ends. In fact, in 2012, we had the first season to actually have two tropical storms before the official start of hurricane season. A few years later, in 2016, we had our second earliest hurricane on record. Hurricane Alex happened, I believe it was January 18th, something like that. It was unheard of to have storms in January. It's possible. The fact that this is the second earliest hurricane on record means there was another one in January many, many years ago, 60s or 70s, I believe. Happened on January 8th. It was a very unusual circumstance. But when do we see the peak of hurricane season? The peak of hurricane season is generally early to mid-September. This line right here is September 10th. So September 10th to September 11th is generally considered the peak of hurricane season. Theoretically, after September 10th, we should see fewer hurricanes. However, this isn't always the case. For example, 1992, the year of Hurricane Andrew, did not happen until late August, very late August. That was the very first storm, and of course it was the most intense and most devastating storm of the season. And so there were definitely more storms after the peak of the season than before in 1992. And of course, there's always the very important point that always has to be stressed. It doesn't matter how many hurricanes you have. What matters is how strong they are and where they hit. You can have the quietest season. 1992 was actually a very quiet season, like 5 named storms the whole season. But one of those was Hurricane Andrew, and it was devastating. So the number of storms isn't as important as when they hit. So here's a chart that shows the number of hurricanes that have made landfall between 1900 and 2009. In that time period, we've had 77 hurricanes make landfall as a Category 1, 44 made landfall as a Category 2, 53 as a Category 3, 13 as Category 4, and up through 2009, we only had 3 hurricanes that made landfall as Category 5. Obviously, in the last 10 plus years, we've had more to add to this list. A few notable ones: Hurricane Michael. We now have 4 hurricanes that have made landfall as a Category 5. That was Hurricane Michael in 2018. Also worth noting, Hurricane Patricia in 2015 made landfall in Mexico as a Category 5 storm, which means that now Mexico has had at least 2 Category 5 hurricane landfalls. For Category 4s, we have a handful of storms that we can mention here. 2 that I want to mention. One is Hurricane Maria. 3 that I want to mention. Hurricane Maria made landfall in Puerto Rico. Very bad situation. It was a Category 4 hurricane when it made landfall. Another one that happened in 2017 was Hurricane Harvey. Another one in 2017 was Hurricane Irma. So that was a very big year. Hurricane Harvey, Irma, Maria, those three were all really big and really devastating storms that year. Hurricane Irma actually made landfall twice. Once in Cujo Key at Category 4, and then it weakened a little bit and hit Marco Island as a Category 3. Also worth noting are Hurricane Matthew and Hurricane Florence, which made landfall in South Carolina as a Category 1. Yes, they were much stronger. In fact, Hurricane Matthew came within miles of making landfall in Daytona Beach as a Category 4. That would have been quite devastating. But it turned, weakened, and became a Category 1 just before it hit the Carolinas.